Take your front seat. The runway lights are up and the room is buzzing. Welcome to Brand Runway, where fempreneurs, coaches and visionaries transform from hidden gem to high-end influence. I'm Jenny Parker-Brown, your front row guide to creating your own unforgettable brand presence. Each episode delivers the exact tools and brand direction to make you shine. From magnetic messaging to client attraction systems that feel as natural and delicious as a designer jacket. Whether I'm sharing backstage insights from my own journey or featuring conversations with brilliant innovators, you'll leave knowing exactly how to showcase your unique brilliance to attract your ideal customers. Because a luxury level brand presence shouldn't be exclusive. It should be accessible to every helping professional ready to step into your spotlight. Ladies, you've come to the right place. It's your time. And the champagne's on me. The runway lights are up and the room is buzzing. Welcome to a new episode of Brand Runway. This is a special one today because I have just recently met my gorgeous guest, and we're going to talk disruption. We're not quite sure what we're going to talk about because we're both diagnosed ADHD. But I know it is going to be highly valuable about your next level. So when I met my guest today, I found out, first of all, she's a disruptor, and I went, check. Then she's funny, and I went, check. And she's a brand expert. Check. What's not to love? Welcome to the studio, my gorgeous Kim Antrobus.
Hello. I'm a bit of a fidget as well, so don't mind me in my rolly chair. But thank you for having me, Jennifer. I'm excited to be here.
Did I pronounce Antrobus right?
You did. Well done. It is English, which surprised me because I thought it was Greek or something, my husband. But there's a place in Cheshire called Antrobus. It's very underwhelming.
Okay, so we've been chatting before we finally hit record because we share so many points of view and we've got some gems. What I want to jump off with first of all is the state of the market. You know, we know that we're in this new paradigm. Like the last 10 years basically of online marketing have completely imploded when we've been through the eras of information, inspiration, motivation, education, all of those. And now we're in a new era. I know that you have some really, really pointy views about what the state of the market is. In a nutshell, or not in a nutshell, how do you see the state of the market at the moment?
It's saturated. I do feel people have almost forgotten that there are other forms of marketing. But there's definitely a saturation of people all doing the same things, like brand homogeny, conformity marketing. People see something working and they kind of all shift towards doing it. And it always takes a disruptor or an innovator to do something a bit different. And that is where I feel I'm finding my feet right now. I don't like being told that things have to be a set way. But I very naively, and I would say I was a bit wet behind the ears with this because I moved to marketing from law, as we discussed before I came on. I moved to marketing from law. Had dipped into marketing and branding during that period, but it wasn't my career. Law was my career for nearly 20 years. And it was about 4 years ago that I shifted over to marketing and branding. And one of the things I did when I first set up my company was see that there was this wonderful world of just being yourself in personal branding. And people were repeatedly saying that it's all about showing up genuinely as you. And I thought, I've got this absolutely nailed. I can do that. And I just ran out there naively, being me, thinking that was enough to sell, and it isn't. And the reason why, because this has been touted about and paraded as the marketing thing at the moment, and even I was saying it at one point, that in 2026, you need a personal brand. And whilst you do, and it is important, and authenticity is important, it's the baseline. It is not the competitive edge. And I think that's where people are getting it slightly wrong, because they're going out there thinking that just being themselves online is enough. You've got to have a brand awareness, like an understanding of how we're bridging that gap between who we are and what we do and what they need and what they want, how we're communicating with them. You've got to understand the perception, how we're perceived. You've got to understand so much more than just being yourself. And I think it's missing a lot of the points. It's an incomplete picture.
Yeah.
So that's
Well,
something that I've been getting a bit at.
so the whole point about, being authentic and getting paid is actually the culmination of years and years of this being touted as the most desirable way of using the online space to build a business is
Mhm.
essentially, and it had all sorts of different variations, but essentially it was get paid to be yourself. Like there are so
Yeah.
many variations of that, and it's not new. It's been around for a good 7 to 10 years.
Oh, massively, yeah.
So now it's become almost like normal. But
It
of
is.
course, it's not, there are no foundations for business in getting paid to be yourself. It's just, there are no foundations.
That was what I set off, and I absolutely went on this exponential trajectory of being visible. Even changed my name to Visible AF, and I went on this trajectory, and I was like, "This is amazing." And then I soon realised people were consuming my content, but they weren't buying from me. They weren't buying from me because I hadn't put the fundamentals in place, the sales processes, the systems, and the offers weren't quite there. And I was a bit all over the place, which is me as a person. But that is where the refinement comes in and the understanding, which you will understand because you've just said there that it has. I've witnessed it. I've seen the really sharp rise in some of the people that I love and respect and revere in this industry that have done so well out of personal branding. But I just think there's now an expectation that people show up in that way, that they share a bit of themselves. There's almost an expectation of it. I think that the statistics are 96% of people are more likely to work with a genuine 96, 97, don't even know the number now, but there's people are more likely to choose someone who comes across as authentic. They're more likely to. And with those sort of figures, that's almost everyone is looking for that. So that's why I think it's become more of an order qualifier. It's like the minimum requirement.
Yeah, I feel like the word authentic is almost fossilized
It makes me
now
feel sick. Started putting little vomit emojis after when I use it.
because it's so
Yeah,
overused.
it's that conformity marketing and everyone jumps on it and starts using it, using it, using it. Like visibility as well.
Oh my goodness.
Visibility is not.
Don't even start me on that. Yeah, we'll move on to that. But let's just talk about the authenticity bit because we started developing that, or you started developing that in a very interesting way about authenticity and identity. Because if people don't necessarily need to be authentic, but they do need, well, they need to have an identity first to have any kind of a strong brand presence that matches the expectations that they want of their market.
Yeah. And I think it's understanding as well, yeah, because we can look at your values, your mission, whatever the standard things are. But ultimately, it's about how we're perceived, isn't it, as well? Because if I show up completely genuinely, well, let's use that word instead, because I prefer it. If I show up completely genuinely, I am a genuine person, but people do not need to know every messy bit about me because actually some of those bits could undermine the brand. And I think everyone needs to be aware of that. There's been things recently where people have come across as saying, oh, you need to be more vulnerable in your brands. No one needs to do anything, right? That is not within that's misaligned or could actually harm their brand. And that's the lack of understanding that people have about what branding is. Branding is almost psychology as well as, a reflection piece, isn't it? It's not just reflection, it's understanding how that looks from the outside. I think I did a post today and I thought my analogy was quite on the mark because you often can't see what's on the label, what other people are reading when you're inside the jar. What's on the outside. You can't always see that when you're on the inside. So it's having that awareness of how it's coming across. And that, to me, that's why I've had a big shift from Visible AF to Next Level Woman because I realized that to move to my next stages in business, and I'm a smart woman, I was trying to really dull my own sparkle and squeeze myself into a box to fit into a category or fit into some sort of expectation of other people. I was listening to too many other people and not myself. And I was filtering out all these different skills I've acquired over 20 years of working in the performance industry, working in law firms, working and dabbling in marketing and design. And that is what I ultimately did for the last few years. And yeah, I was trying to just choose one thing because that's what everyone says, but not everyone isn't always right. And I think that understanding people, and this is probably you as well, I do understand people and I listen to people. I do a lot of social listening and a lot of understanding how I come across And this all goes back to being neurodivergent, I think, as well, and spending so much time feeling like the odd one out. I'm not upset about that because that's how my life has always been. I've always been someone on the outside, and I've always had to read people. And you get exceptionally good at pattern recognition. And I think that was what it was for me. I just kind of cocooned myself away for a couple of months, and I thought about what I bring to the table, how those tools in my armory actually help people to move to their next level. And that was what I wanted to achieve by kind of working out my identity piece. And it's really changed. Even the last few months, my messaging is hitting the right places now, and it's having the movement that I wanted it to have. But it all has stemmed from setting out there wet behind the ears, thinking that, like, not really understanding that identity piece, not really giving it much thought, just going out there being me. It will not work the way that people need it to. So was I rambling then? Because I know my brain's firing off, and I'm thinking of so many things and not saying them all. And
no, I really, don't worry. I'll circle back on what needs to be said, but I hear you about this conformity marketing. I've never actually heard paraphrased like that, because what I have witnessed especially in coaches, the coaches and consultants most of all, is that they're all goldfish in a bowl, except that they don't realize that they're a goldfish. And from the outside, from the audience, as you use the jar, looking in, they're all goldfish. So goldfish, which goldfish do you pick? But the goldfish in the bowl, once they say, yeah, I'm a Reiki healer, or or a social media coach, or this, that, and the other, and it's like, you're a goldfish. So to me, it is a death knell. It is so dangerous when people get into, or they don't even realize it. And it's the saturation. It is absolutely saturated, which is why everybody needs to have a professionally guided personal brand, because you can't do it for yourself. If you just can't.
Oh my God, and I got so stuck with it, Jennifer, because I'm like, I can do this for other people. Why can I do it for other people? And I just can't do it for me. And then I realized that I actually was just trying to make myself something I'm not. And why am I doing that? That's not what I teach people ever. And I'm not talking about just being aware of how I'm viewed from the outside, because I don't believe in performance, and I will never perform. But I also don't believe in exposing everything. And I believe in having actual goals and things that you need to try and achieve on your next. But I wasn't thinking of it with the fundamentals in place for me. Does that make sense? Like, for me, I was kind of just like going out there and going, I know I can do these things. But that was just a mess. It was just literally projecting a mess ultimately. People loved it, but it wasn't making me the money that I'm now on a path with.
What I love about this conversation is we bring familiar vocabulary and terms to this question of branding, but actually, well, you and I both have a different interpretation of it, including your new positioning as next level woman. Which again, we were talking about how phrases get popular and like get paid to be yourself. And I would love you to describe how you shared it with me earlier on about next level woman means like she's ambitious, she's goal driven, she's aiming for the fictitious six figures, whatever, the next level. And you described it is quite different. So just share that with us again.
Exact words, Jennifer, but I'll go in and explain it for me. For me to move to the next level with my brand, I retracted and I went into a bit of a shell. I cocooned myself off for a bit. And I thought, what is it I need to move to that next step? And I realized with all this saturation that's out there, there's so many people going 10x your income, you can make six figures. And it just, to me, that's just noise. And one of the reasons it's just noise isn't just because of the saturation. I mean, that's partially it, but it's also, it doesn't appeal to me. And for me to move to my next level, I had to really assess what motivates me. I am very purpose-led, but I wasn't embodying all the things that matter to me anymore by trying to squeeze myself into a box to fit what I thought people wanted. that's not what the branding should have been about. But it just became so foggy. And I was listening to all these different people, and I thought, no, if I want to get to my next level, that is all about working out my identity, not working out who I need to be for who, working out what matters to me and where I'm going. And yeah, with that, it became that realization that there is so much aesthetic over substance out there, and it bothers me. There's so much you must do that to get this, and it bothers me. And I'm not saying that people are wrong necessarily, but we have to work in alignment with ourselves. And that was the realization I had on why I liked Next Level Woman as my brand name, because it was never about becoming. I'm never going to be that woman who goes off to Dubai and works in Dubai and has the YSL handbags, and lovely for them, but it is not me, and it's not what motivates me. And I know there's a whole group of people who just don't think like that and are not motivated in that way. And yeah, that's kind of what I want to speak to. It's just that comfort that comes from understanding who you are and where you're going and what you need to get there. Probably missed something that I said earlier, but
No, I think that's just so important. It's such an important point to call out because if you're not in that lane of trying to get to striving, struggling, hustling to get to a certain income level, and it's always the six-figure myth, then you feel inadequate. Like you feel less than.
yes, and there's a lot of that around, and I feel like a lot of people are getting set up to fail because it is not the thing that will drive them along anyway, and not all those practices work for everyone.
Well, you're absolutely right because you honestly said, I'm not motivated by money. It's not my primary motivation either. I'm a life path nine, a humanitarian. So making a difference actually comes before, the sums. It just does. But it's
Yeah.
what makes us at our next level. So, but I do think it's really damaging and discouraging for people if they don't see that they're making progress to those, because it's in our faces all the time, and not just six figures, it's now seven, eight, nine, beyond lifestyles that are just in our faces. And personally,
That's not aspirational for me.
sorry.
Just not aspirational for me.
No, but people are so affected by it.
Yeah.
They're so affected by it, but it doesn't make them less brilliant at what they do for the clients that they serve, or any less, you know, worthy and capable of having the lifestyle that they want.
I think there's a lot of fluff out there. And with that comes all these things that people are saying to do, but it just feels so vacuous, a lot of it. When I'm learning about all these different people, I switch off because I feel like a lot of the things they're teaching are a bit vacuous, whereas all these people that you're talking about who are brilliant at what they do, maybe it's because they're missing something else. And that is probably because they've not really looked at how aligned their brand is maybe with, like, you do understand operational strategy and things like that, the competitive edge, what makes them commercially sharp, because you can be absolutely outstanding at what you do but lacking that commercial sharpness. And I think that is something as well, like it all ties into this hype marketing and personal brand thing it's become the aesthetic. But I feel like the aesthetic has mattered so much more than the substance for so long. I'm going on these courses and doing these things, and I'm thinking this is just empty. It's not really helping me. And then you're just churning out more of the same, and it just becomes this massive sea of sameness, and everyone sounds the same and feels. Do you get what I mean? Like, I don't feel like it really helps people. What works for one person won't necessarily work for another.
So here's what I've realized over the years, Kim, is all these coaches. There are so many service providers out there, so many heart-led, mission-led, purpose-driven, people-loving service providers out there. They didn't take a course in business foundations. It's not automatic that you have commercial acumen. It's not. You're meant to. We've just sort of come online and thought, oh well, I'm meant to have this stuff figured out. I'm meant to know how funnels work, or evergreen webinars, or community building. I'm meant to figure it out. Actually, I don't. It's like
Not
I
everyone
want. I
needs it. Not everyone needs it. People have forgotten that that isn't the only form of marketing.
so if you were then explaining to somebody what their next level might look like in terms of their own identity. How do you approach that?
I think we look at, for me, I'd be looking at what they actually want to achieve and how they help it, what the transformation is, but where they want to be as a person. And you can reverse engineer it. I think as well with this all this hype marketing, aesthetic over substance, you feel like you're trudging through treacle getting there because it's so far from where you are often. And they're forgetting that there's smaller steps. Not everyone can leap to a high ticket and be successful with that straight away. Like I couldn't do that. It completely is at loggerheads with who I am. No one would believe it. No one would trust it. No one would want to just jump in there and pay me 5 grand to do. I don't know. I don't even know what I'm thinking, but 5 grand for an event, a little mastermind, because I've not done the steps before. And there's nothing wrong with having to take smaller steps. People are starting to think success comes overnight. And it doesn't, and it's almost people feel like they're not achieving enough or that they aren't accomplished enough because they're not going through it fast enough. But no one has the same 24 hours in the day. No one has that same thing. So it's all good and well, someone coming to me and going, this is what I've achieved, but they don't have my brain. They don't have my life. They don't have my things that I need to get through, my clients, they don't have all those different competing factors. We all have different variables, and there is no shame in the route that we take. Does that make sense as well? Because you do see this aesthetic, and I feel like people feel worn down because they're not there yet. Oh, it's been 6 months, and what have you been doing? What have you actively been doing? And what I would look at is what the next steps are. So next level isn't about jumping up. It's about the next step up. Like what steps do we need to take to get to that next level for ourselves? It's not about top level because it's not about achieving the top thing. It's about taking the baby steps because they compound, and over time with intention and direction. That was a dog, by the way. I don't know if you heard that dropping something underneath me. Something dropped and rolled. But over time, these little things compound and they become bigger. Yeah. I'm only just starting to see now, trickling through the benefits of what I've been doing for the last 6 months while I've been cocooned and thinking and plotting. I'm only starting to see it come through now, and that is okay. Yeah. That is okay with me because of everything else that I've got going on in the background, and other people need to see that that's okay too, because I think the problem with social media I love social media. I'm not a massive hater of these people. Great. But understanding where you are and where you want to be, sometimes it takes a bit of time to get there, and that is okay. And I think that needs to be, I don't want to use the word normalize, I'm going to vomit again, but it needs to be accepted that it's not a reflection of them being incapable or doing something wrong necessarily. I mean, they may be doing something wrong, but it doesn't necessarily mean they are.
I love that. That's so relatable, is to mirror back to people that all they need to do is just get to that next level before the next level and the next level and the next level. Absolutely love that. Totally relatable. So let's touch on your and my favorite not word, visibility, because I feel like it's like the holy grail. Everybody and his wife is now a visibility expert in some way, and everybody, doesn't matter what, it doesn't matter what they're teaching, that they are going to tout visibility as the end point. And I am so fed up of it. And I sit in networking groups and hear things like all these lovely women say, I know I need to be more visible, when they don't have a brand, they don't have a message, they don't have a USP, they don't.
I've had to talk with a client about that this week. I'm like, you're jumping the gun. You can't even take a client on at the minute because you haven't got Stripe set up. You don't need to be more visible yet. And she's like, oh, should we pay for this with this PR thing? And I'm like, no, not yet. Let's get these foundational things in place, because it definitely has lost its meaning a little bit as well, because it actually comes from operations strategy as well, just dropping that in there again. Visibility is about the amount of interactions a customer will have with you throughout the process. It's become something else, but people use it to mean showing up online. And to me, it's so many different things. It's not just about your social media content, about the rooms you're in. It's about applying for awards, PR, publications. There's a whole load of things that come into what visibility is. But it has made me, like, that was what I was really good at, getting people seen, getting people to take notice. And it's why I've become more inclined to link myself with disruption, because as soon as I see that everyone else is doing it, I'm like, ugh, I don't want it. I don't want it. I'm not afraid to go things alone and do things up my own way and try different things. I'm not afraid to just drop it off somewhere. It, because I know it's important to be seen for what I do, but not everyone. Everyone's different. It's got to be bespoke to the brand and what they need. And visibility isn't just about showing up on social media. And what's the point in showing up on social media if you're not selling anything or doing anything in the background? I've had so many people do that. I need to get more visible. I need to be more consistent. Okay, but what? Let's talk about your messaging. Let's talk about those images that you're putting out there. Let's talk about your positioning. Let's understand the fundamentals before we jump out there getting visible without fully understanding what it means, what it entails, what that vehicle is trying to do for you. Because we want to propel ourselves forward in our careers and what have you, but we've got to understand what we're trying to achieve, what rooms we're trying to be in, who we're trying to reach with that visibility, because otherwise it's just more frigging noise in there. And they're tired. People are tired. There is a definite audience fatigue. I've just made that up. That's the word I'm going to use. I feel like because when I go on my socials now, honest to God, it is sales, someone's selling at me, and it is repelling me. It doesn't make me go, ooh, at everyone. It repels me. The same way for me, and some people it might wait for, but someone jumping in my DMs when I don't know them, trying to sell me something. I've talked about this on another podcast, and I'm going to do it now, Jennifer, because I feel you'll appreciate this. Experience as a consumer the other day was that my qualifier for them to think that I needed their service without me having any interaction with them at all was that I'm fat. And somebody jumped into my DMs to offer me their program, their nutrition, their exercise program. I'm going to make you know nothing about me, let alone that I even want it. You know nothing. And that kind of marketing is harmful. That has affected their brand for life for me. It got them an instant block. It's affected their reputation. They've not thought about my journey and my experience in that. And it's like, these are the fundamentals people are missing. They may look good on the socials with their 8,000 followers, but the fundamentals are wrong. They may catch a few fish if they throw out enough lines with that, but they've ultimately lost me straight away. And surely that's good branding. I know it repels, but that's something else.
This is so interesting because the very same thing happened to me 2 days ago. Somebody dropped into my DMs on LinkedIn and put a voice recorded message, which I didn't listen to, and a link which had the words visibility webinar. And I'm like, WTF? So I was in my magazine deadline rush. I just wrote her back and said, do you think this is a great way to have a first connection on LinkedIn? No, thanks. And she wrote me back and told me how rude I was.
She's rude.
I know. She told me how absolutely rude I was. And she'd met me on a networking thing, and she thought that I was, somebody decent to connect with, and she must have made the wrong impression. I'm like, what is going on here? So I replied and I said, if you know anything about me at all, if you've been reading my posts, if you've been, in my space for a while and you're subscribed, you will know that I absolutely master visibility. It's one of my main topics.
Literally, one, hadn't even looked around your website or your page at all, clearly. But also, it's that, I can't say this on your podcast. I'm trying to think of another way to they're not connecting with people first. They've forgotten the fundamentals of human connection. And sales it is generally built on that. If it's not something we know we need and we're going to go out and actively get, it's built on connecting with people. And I think people have forgotten that. They've forgotten that actually asking questions and finding out about someone, if you want to do that whole jumping in, I personally would be waiting for hand raisers before I even try and initiate a conversation with anyone or get to know anyone. I wouldn't want to just jump in and go, because to me, it smacks of desperation to me. It smacks of desperation. And I don't want to work with someone that comes from a place of lack and neediness. I want to work with someone who genuinely wants to help me or can genuinely help me get to my next level. But that was not a deliberate pun, that just came out. But I just think we've lost the fundamentals of interacting with humans. It's strange. That's strange to just drop that in. could have just done some research and found that out, or she could have had a conversation with you and it would have perhaps come up through conversation, but no one has that art anymore.
Yeah,
Like
I
we
think
do,
the
but
relationship thing
don't.
is very key, and obviously we need to return to the the bases of business, which is relationships
Building
and
relationships.
community building. So let's just go full circle back to the one thing, I believe, the one thing that will put you head and shoulders in front of people without you having to do it is actually being clear about your own message, position, and having a distinctive brand before you think about being visible, before you think about strategy, anything is that you can, it's this an entity that people can relate to, that they can recognize, that they can, that they want
The
or they
elements of the
don't.
self in, yeah, and it's that recognition and resonance kind of thing, isn't it? We want to connect with them emotionally through what we put out, and I think that comes from, it does come up from showing up as who you are in a refined way, from an understanding of what they're seeing, because we're trying to bridge that gap, aren't we, between who we are and what they need. And to me, yeah, that you're absolutely spot on with that. I think people need to remember the very fundamentals of what they're trying to achieve. What sets you apart? Why you? Why now? What change are you going to create? What transformation are you helping to create? And then showing up with that belief system so that they can work out if you're the kind of person that they want to work with. If you're, because like I'm not for everyone, absolutely not, and that's okay, because that is real life, isn't it? We can't be for everyone. If you're for everyone, you're not for anyone, because it's confusing. And I think getting really clear on what, like you said, like, and that was what I was literally going through that motion when I was in this cocoon, trying to work out what that is to me. And also, like, I think with me, I like to have opinions on things, and I like to share my thoughts, and I have a lot of different thoughts. Like we were saying this before, we were like these balls of energy that are just constantly firing off all these different ideas. But I like being that person that shares it. But the problem with being that person that shares everything is sometimes I confuse people, and they're like, I want to work with you, but this is what they were saying. This is what was on about the social listening. I want to work with you, but I don't know what for. I was like, that's where I've fucked up. Excuse my language. That's where I've got it all wrong.
No, you haven't. No, I'll give you an example. I think it's a great place to conclude there. Is no, you will love this. I had somebody get on a call. She's a publisher. She had got a publishing house. Got on a call with her a few years ago when I was full into brand creation, and but we were talking about, we were just having a conversation. She was an American, a super lady. We got on the call, and the first thing she said is, "I just want to be like you, Jenny."
Ah,
And I was like, "What do you mean?" And she said, "Well, you're everywhere. You do all these things. Like you've got the magazine, and you've got this, and you can do that, and you can do that." And I said, "You don't want to be like me. You want to be your version of what you're seeing in me." And she went, "Yes, that's what I want. I want to be my
permission
version
slip.
of what I'm seeing and what I'm seeing in you." And I said, "Well, in that case, I can help you."
Exactly. Well, that was it. I was like, well, but what do you need? Because I could probably help. That was what I was saying. And you know what, then I just did a little like sticky face because I said the word permission slip. If I see one more person writing a permission slip for someone else, I'm going to go car, because the reality is, I think showing up that we intrinsically do that through being someone that they have a connection with, or see that resonance and recognition, and they see themselves in you, and they see you doing things like working towards your joy, living your best life. That's what she was wanting, isn't it? She wanted that freedom to go, yeah, I can choose me and do those things too. And I like that. I love that bit. I hate it because we're all adults. What we need to know is that it's safe to choose ourselves. It's safe to choose ourselves, and that's okay, because we've been conditioned, haven't we, into this good girl energy for so bloody long, that we don't feel like we can make decisions. Like she's loving how all those things, so that's possible for her too. Like you said, let's see how we can make it happen. I think it's
Mm.
that possibility, but I hate people saying they're going to write a permission slip for people. It's one of my big cringes. But you do, and I think that's the beauty of showing, like, you're a beautiful human with a lot of different skills, We discussed the word multidimensional before because I love that word, but we all are. And having that freedom to not put ourselves into a box and be one thing and think we have to live a prescribed life, get married, have 2.4 children. Don't know how you do that, but have 2.4 children, dogs, blah, blah, blah. And we don't have to run a certain trajectory in life. We can choose, we choose ourselves. And I think as women, it's conditioned out of us, isn't it, from an early age? So I do love that. And I've got you on another angle here, Anna.
Yeah, I know. We will have to wrap this,
Part two.
but you just reminded me of something else that I think is key for people to hear. And you've just been through this yourself in your cocoon, and I've been through it as well in the last 6 months. No, I'm not going to say permission.
Oh, we can't write a permission slip. I do it. I do it sometimes because it's in my head. What's that? There's a word, the white bear effect, when you try
Okay,
out things.
the intelligence to know that your brand is a living, breathing thing that can evolve, can and should evolve. That you don't just pick a domain name and go, right, that's it. You know, for the next 10 years, I'm going to build this empire under this
I
domain
can't
name.
change anything now. I'm committed.
Yes, I am this person. This is my brand. Whereby it's never been a time to have a malleable brand into which we can be multidimensional, and I have this with clients all the time. She'll come up with a good idea. And said, "Do you think I should change my website?" And I go, "No. Just stay with the original name and then put this out as an offer or a series or a book or something under the overarching."
I had this realization recently, Jenny. That was so weird that you're saying that. I was like, the amount of times I've changed my name when it could have just been a program. It could have just been an offer. I get it. I get it. I get it.
Yes, that malleable brand. That's what I think
Because as humans, we do that. We change. I'm not
Of
the same
course,
person I was 5 years ago.
I
I wouldn't
know.
expect my brand to stay the same while I went off changing.
I know. Duh.
Exactly. But why do we do that? Because we put things in a box and then we expect them to not grow or change because that's comfortable, isn't it? It's easier and it's comfortable if things are predictable. But unfortunately, that's not life, and life does fluctuate and it does have those changes, and things will evolve and transform, and that is good. It can only ever be a positive, I think.
Okay, we could talk and talk and talk and talk for hours, but I'm going to share all the links for people to find you and be in your space and to get to really, really feel the power of your energy, because I've been in the room with you, and it is genuine, it is real, it is fun, it's funny, it's brilliant. All the reasons for people to come and work with you and to be in your universe.
Thank you, Jenny. I've loved being on this with you. It's great to have intellectual conversations and just have a little mini rant.
Yeah, absolutely. To wrap this up, I keep saying that. Tell us what your life purpose. You said I'm purpose driven. What is that thing that
I absolutely love helping people to see the gaps to reach their potential. I love seeing those fires reignited, that excitement return to their eyes. And I love giving people their purpose and helping them feel like they can be something else. They can achieve those things. And the more people I can give that feeling to, that things are possible, that feeling of possibility is not limited to people with money, to people from wealthy backgrounds, to white people, straight people. It isn't limited to that. And we don't have to go any prescribed routes. And I can't say this succinctly because it's just not a succinct feeling. I just want to help people achieve their version of success and happiness, because joy is the ultimate goal.
Amen, sister. Singing from the same hymn sheet.
It really is. Joy is the ultimate goal for me. And I can't just encapsulate that by saying joy, because there's so many different things to it. But you realize when something like the whole thing that precipitated this career change for me was losing my mum, and losing someone who underpins your entire existence forces you to shift your perspective and the way that you view your reality and what life is. And we all get stuck in the monotony of life and just accepting and settling mundanity, when actually possibility is out there, and joy doesn't lie at the end of mundanity for me. It doesn't lie at the end of a predictable, boring existence. It lies in travel, experiences, meeting new people, feeling alive, because tomorrow isn't promised. So today has to count, doesn't it?
Let's let that literally be a mic drop.
But don't, because they're expensive.
Thank you, Kim. Lights down. That's a wrap on today's Brand Runway collection. I hope you're filled with inspiration to step into your spotlight and claim your place as the sought-after and fully booked-up changemaker you're meant to be. Remember, your gifts and the value you bring to the world are pure gold. They deserve the perfect showcase. For all the tools and resources we discussed today, including the latest edition of Brand Runway magazine and how to take the next step, your VIP access awaits in the show notes below. This is your moment to shine brilliantly. And until our next showing, this is Jenny Parker Brown reminding you that every day is your runway. Bye-bye.